You pay money to watch people suffer. You sit in the dark, eyes fixed on the screen as characters lose everything they love. Their pain becomes your entertainment, and somehow you walk out feeling lighter, cleaner, more alive. 2,000 years ago, Aristotle discovered why this happens. He called it catharsis, the purification of the soul through witnessing tragedy. And what he understood about human nature might be the key to processing your own pain. Purpose purification. Because here's what most people never realize. You don't watch tragedy despite the suffering. You watch it because of it. And that instinct might be saving your life. The healing tears. Have you ever cried at a movie and felt embarrassed about it? Have you ever tried to hide those tears, as if feeling deeply was somehow weakness? Aristotle would have told you the opposite. Tragedy is an imitation of an action that arouses pity and fear, affecting the proper purgation of these emotions. That word purgation is catharsis, the same word Greeks used for medical cleansing. Aristotle wasn't being poetic. He was being literal. When you watch Hamlet lose everything, when you see a character's world collapse, something inside you releases. Those emotions you've been carrying, the fears you can't name, the grief you haven't processed, they find a safe container. The tears aren't weakness. They are medicine. They're your psyche finally letting go of what it's been holding. But why would watching someone else suffer help you heal? That's where Aristotle's genius truly begins. Save suffering. Here's the paradox that puzzled philosophers for centuries. We avoid pain in real life, but we seek it in stories. We run from our own grief, yet we pay to feel it through others. Save suffering transforms. Aristotle understood something revolutionary. In the theater, you can feel the full weight of human tragedy without the consequences. You experience the terror of death without dying. You feel the devastation of loss without losing anyone. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference. The emotions are real. The tears are real. The racing heart is real. But when the lights come on, you're still whole. Your life is still intact. You've practiced facing the worst and survived. This is why ancient Greeks made theater central to their society. It wasn't entertainment. It was emotional training, a gymnasium for the soul. And what they were training for might surprise you: fear and pity. Aristotle identified two specific emotions that tragedy must evoke: pity and fear. Not anger, not disgust, not excitement, pity and fear. Why these two? We feel pity for one who suffers undeservedly, and fear for one who is like ourselves. Pity connects you to others. It opens your heart to suffering beyond your own. When you pity Oedipus, you're practicing compassion. You're exercising your capacity to care about human pain that isn't yours. Fear, though, fear is personal. That could be me. When you fear for the tragic hero, you're recognizing yourself in them. Their fatal flaw could be yours. Their downfall is possible for you. This combination, caring for others while recognizing your own vulnerability, creates the perfect emotional alchemy. It humbles you and opens you simultaneously. Pity softens the heart, while fear reminds you of mortality. But Aristotle noticed something else happening in that combination: the tragic flaw. The greatest tragic heroes aren't villains. They're not evil. They're often noble, intelligent, admirable, and flawed. Aristotle called this hamartia, the tragic flaw. Hubris. Oedipus was brilliant, brave, and determined. But his pride, his certainty that he could outsmart fate, destroyed him. Macbeth was loyal and courageous, but his ambition consumed everything he loved. Here's what makes this profound. You recognize that flaw. Maybe not consciously, but somewhere deep you know you carry the same weakness. Pride, ambition, jealousy, fear of insignificance. When you watch the hero fall because of it, you're watching a warning meant for you. As the ancient saying goes, character is destiny. The tragedy shows you what happens when flaws go unchecked. It's not meant to make you feel bad. It's meant to wake you up, to make you examine your own blind spots before they become your undoing. And this leads us to perhaps the most controversial idea Aristotle proposed: pleasure in pain. Why do we enjoy watching suffering? This question has haunted philosophers for millennia. It seems perverse. It seems wrong. Yet Aristotle didn't condemn it, he explained it. The pleasure of tragedy comes not from the pain itself, but from the form. When chaos has shape, when suffering has meaning, when pain follows a pattern we can understand, something shifts. Raw pain in life feels random, senseless, unbearable. But tragedy takes that same pain and gives it structure. Beginning, middle, end. Cause and consequence. Action and result. Meaning from madness. Suddenly, the universe doesn't seem arbitrary. Suffering follows rules. And if it follows rules, maybe, just maybe, it has purpose. This is the deep pleasure of tragedy. Not sadism, not darkness, but the profound relief of feeling that pain makes sense, that there's an order beneath the chaos. But this raises an even deeper question about what we're really searching for: emotional excess. Modern psychology has a term for what Aristotle discovered: emotional regulation. But here's what they often miss. The aim of tragedy is not to feel nothing, but to feel properly. We carry around too much unprocessed grief, too much suppressed fear, too much unlived emotion. It builds up like pressure in a sealed container. Release or explode. Tragedy provides a controlled release. Those tears in the dark theater, they're not just about the character. They're about your father you never mourned, the relationship that ended, the dream that died. The screen gives you permission to feel what you've been avoiding, and your body doesn't distinguish between grief sources. The release is real. The relief is real. You walk out lighter because you are lighter. You've shed emotional weight that was never meant to be carried indefinitely. The Greeks understood what we have forgotten about healthy grieving. But catharsis wasn't just about individual healing, shared weeping. When 17,000 Athenians sat in the theater of Dionysus, they weren't just watching a play. They were participating in a ritual. Impact effect communion / impact effect. Together they wept. Together they gasped. Together they faced the terror of human existence. And in that shared vulnerability, something remarkable happened. Collective catharsis bound the community in shared humanity. Think about what this means. These were soldiers who had killed, merchants who competed, rivals and enemies sitting side by side. But in the presence of tragedy, all masks fell away. Everyone was equally mortal. Everyone was equally fragile. The richest man in Athens felt the same fear as the poorest. The general shed tears beside the slave. Tragedy teaches that we are all equally subject to fate. In a world increasingly isolated, increasingly individualistic, we've lost this. We watch alone on our screens. We grieve alone in our rooms. And we wonder why we feel so disconnected from each other. But Aristotle's vision of catharsis goes even deeper. Wisdom through pain. The Greeks had a phrase, pathé mathos, learning through suffering. Pain teaches what comfort cannot. But here's Aristotle's revolutionary insight. You don't have to suffer personally to learn. Tragedy lets you learn from others' suffering. Every mistake the hero makes, you absorb. Every consequence of hubris, you witness. Every price of unchecked passion you understand without paying it yourself. Poetry is more philosophical than history, for it speaks of universals. History tells you what Oedipus did. Tragedy tells you what you would do if you were Oedipus. It reveals not just events, but the eternal patterns of human nature. You live 1,000 lives through the stories you experience deeply. Each tragedy you truly feel becomes part of your wisdom. Each downfall you witness shapes your choices. You emerge older than your years, wiser than your experience. But what does this ancient wisdom mean for your life today? Modern catharsis. We've lost the ritual. We've lost the community. We've lost the sacred space of the theater, and something in us is suffering for it. Depression rates have never been higher. We numb ourselves with distraction. We scroll through endless content that touches nothing deep. We entertain ourselves without ever being moved. But your soul still needs catharsis. The ancient need for emotional purification hasn't disappeared. It's why you binge that devastating show. Why you keep returning to songs that make you cry. Why you watch that movie that breaks you again and again. You're self-medicating with catharsis, seeking what your ancestors knew. But there's a difference. We consume alone. We don't process with others. We don't have elders to help us integrate the experience. We have multiplied our means of distraction, while impoverishing our means of depth. The tools for catharsis are everywhere. What we're missing is the wisdom to use them properly. Which brings us to the final, most important question: feel to heal. Here is the gift Aristotle left us across 24 centuries. Feel to heal. Don't run from the stories that move you. Don't dismiss the tears as weakness. Don't numb yourself to avoid the uncomfortable. Every emotion fully felt becomes a door to freedom. Watch the tragedy. Read the devastating novel. Listen to the music that breaks something open in you. But do it consciously. Do it as ritual. Do it knowing that you're engaging in something ancient and necessary. Purge what poisons you. Better yet, don't do it alone. Share the experience. Discuss what it stirred. Let the catharsis bind you to others the way it bound the Athenians. Because Aristotle understood something we desperately need to remember. The soul grows not by avoiding darkness, but by facing it together. The purified soul is not the one that has never suffered, but the one that has suffered well. Your tears are not weakness. They are wisdom seeking release. 2.5 millennia ago, in the sunlit theaters of Athens, Aristotle watched his fellow citizens weep together and understood something profound about human nature. We need to feel. We need safe spaces to face our deepest fears. We need stories that break us open so we can put ourselves back together stronger. Tragedy transforms trauma. In a world that tells you to stay positive, to avoid negativity, to numb your pain, remember this: catharsis is not darkness. It's the doorway through darkness. The tears you shed in the presence of great tragedy are cleansing waters for the soul. So tonight, when you feel that pull toward the story that devastates you, don't resist. Let it do its ancient work. Let the pity open your heart. Let the fear humble your ego. Let the tears wash you clean. Through pity and fear, tragedy accomplishes the catharsis of such emotions. The wisdom of the Greeks flows through every tear you shed at a movie, every gasp at a character's downfall, every moment of devastation that somehow leaves you feeling more alive. Tragedy isn't the enemy of happiness. It's the guardian of your soul. If Aristotle's wisdom stirred something in you, subscribe. The vault holds more ancient secrets waiting to transform your understanding.